Still, if you told me you were drowning, I would not lend a hand.
Welcome back to the Heritage Recreations YouTube channel. Today, as we roll the streets in our VE HSV Club Sport, we're going to explain how you can monetize your hobby to get one of these cars for free. That's right, guys. So over the years, with the investments we've made in our cars and some of the parts manufacture, on paper we've been able to get the VE HSV GTS and also our Orion Silver VT Club Sport for absolutely free. So today we're going to step through some of the processes that we've used in order to get these vehicles, and hopefully some of these pointers will be able to be used by some of the guys that watch our YouTube channel, and you can follow in our footsteps and get yourselves a free muscle car. So sit back, relax, and let us go through how we've managed to get these two cars for absolutely nothing. Okay, so now we're going to go over a couple of the ways that you can monetize your hobby so that you can follow us and get yourself a HSV free of charge. Now, I'm not the only person out here that can do this. There's plenty of people out there that have managed to upgrade their cars one way or another, and they've essentially ended up similar to us, where they've got cars for nothing. Now, when we say got cars for nothing, you've essentially get to a stage of your collection where you've bought and sold cars to the point where you've made enough profit that that profit then gives you the car. So the initial investment you've made, whether it be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, that money goes straight back into your pocket, and out of the profit you've made out of the cars you've upgraded, you've been able to afford your HSV for nothing. So we're not saying that if you're interested in cars enough, then suddenly they'll just appear in your driveway. You still have to work for them. There still has to be an initial investment. The amount depends on what cars you're actually interested in, but the method that we've used is low numbered cars, desirable cars, getting into the cars at a good price point. If we need to do little bits of work to them to get them up to speed, then that's what we do, and then we sell them for a profit. So we're focusing on the LJ GTR at the moment. One of the reasons we're doing that is because I'll explain the second method we've been able to invest in the cars, and we're just zooming in now on that globe center cap. So we also make parts for LJ, LC, or actually quite a few Holdens, and then we've branched out to the HSV market as well. But I'll go through in more detail about how we've ended up with the white VE HSV, and then we'll flow onto the parts we manufacture, and that's how we ended up getting the silver VT Club Sport. So all through our motoring life, we've always had cars that have been either desirable or low numbered, and it's as silly as the very first almost new car we got, which was a Schrade F2. Now, looking at those things now, they're not worth a huge amount of money, but back in the day, the only thing the Schrade F2 really sort of went head to head with was the Swift GTIs. So that car, not being a base model Daihatsu Schrade, we purchased that early as a get-around car. We did a few modifications to put it into the four-cylinder rotary shows back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, and then we end up selling that car and breaking even on it. So we knew that the method was there. We don't like depreciation. If you're ever going to upgrade your cars, depreciation is our number one enemy. So you want to get a car that has the ability to become an asset. So we looked through all the sites, whether it be eBay, Gumtree, also the trading post back in the day. And what really gave us the leg up is we found a VH Australian Dealer Pack HDT Commodore. It was out at Williston. It was in a shed. It had been pulled apart because there'd been a mice plague, and we ended up purchasing that car for $7,000. It was complete. It was a matching numbers car, and essentially it was 95% original with some minor repairs to a front guard at some stage. We ended up piecing that car together, had it for a couple of years, and then worked out that it probably wasn't the car for us. We ended up selling that car, and from the profit we made from that HDT, we were able to buy the VE HSV outright. So that means we're able to bank the $7,500 we initially put into that car. Yes, we did put some money to get it up to speed. I think we put about $5,000 into it. But the reality is, once we sold that car, I think we had it for 3 or 4 years actually, not just 1 or 2, so 3 or 4 years. In that time period, the Australian muscle car scene really started to go up, and that vehicle made us $25,000 profit. And the VE GTS landed from Perth to here, 6-speed manual, was $23,485. So step number one, when trying to get a car for free, get into rare cars that can be an easy flip, hang on to them for a few years, because any Australian muscle car, whether it be Ford GT, Chrysler, HDT, FPV, you can get into some pretty good examples, do a little bit of work to them and get some profit early. So now we're going to move into part two of how we've managed to afford a couple of HSVs essentially without using our money, or using money that's become profit through some of the things we've been involved in with the heritage car scene here in South Australia. So that's where the Heritage Recreations name comes from. The Tirana out the front, that is the car which really gave us a leg up into manufacture. We found that there was a lot of parts we couldn't get for that car that were of good quality. They were normally second hand, particularly the quarter glass window screws. So we then started investigating how we're going to manufacture them ourselves so that the quality of parts we put on our car were as good as OEM standard. So in front of you here, we've actually got to the left-hand side table. It's actually given us a bit of an evolution about how we started here at Heritage Recreations. So the top left is all the parts we've made for Holden and or Tirana. Then we move on to the right-hand side, which is some of the parts we've either supplied and or manufactured for the HSV community. So we'll go into more detail about the parts we've made and the backstory. So these things are pretty cool. This was the first item we really got into manufacture. So these are the quarter glass window screws for LCLJ Tirana. Those screws each were $25, so you needed 4 of them. So there was $100 for 4 screws, and they essentially help to secure the quarter glass window screws into your Tirana. And that goes right through HB, TA, LCLJ, so that entire range. So the reason we got into these is when we were looking to get our car restored, we actually purchased a set from Melbourne. They came to us, they are heavily pitted. We had to chrome them, and the reality was they just did not look good at all. So we actually got into a South Australian manufacturer here. We used a genuine quarter glass window screw as a sample, and we gave them the task to be able to manufacture these for us. So they did a batch initially of 1,000 units, which we sold directly to the Tirana community through Marketplace, through the LC and LJ GDR and XU1 site. From there, we made an inquiry with Rare Spares about how we can get these into their stores, which made a little bit more sense because we obviously had a nationwide distribution where when you're doing it by yourself from home, the logistics that is just not there. So if we could get into Rare Spares, then that was going to work. So sure enough, made the inquiry with Rare Spares, sent some samples over to them, and so far we've sent 3,000 units to them, and that relationship is going strong. We had to do a couple of modifications because early on these were zinc plated. Rare Spares got feedback they want to be brighter, so they're actually all done chrome as per original. So that was the first part that got us into the Rare Spares family, and then we started manufacturing other parts from there. Now I'm going to speak a little bit more broadly about these items I've got in front of you. So the long spring there just to the left, that spring there is actually a HKTGLC throttle return spring. So Darren Carr in Melbourne supplied us with an original one of those, and we got those manufactured. Rare Spares stock those now, so they're supplied by us to Rare Spares, and they've not long asked for a third batch of those, so they're obviously going reasonably well. But just because we've got good ideas doesn't mean they're always going to work. So at the back there, we've got the GTR, LJ GTR grille badges. As you can see, there's got 3 little brackets there just in the front. That one's original, and the other 2 are actually brackets that are made by us here in South Australia. We've got another business that has manufactured them for us. They were being manufactured for Rare Spares. Rare Spares was supplied a sample, and then Rare Spares came back to us and said no, although the quality was good, they couldn't justify with the amount of grille badges that they sell that they could use those brackets. So that meant that we actually had to supply them ourselves and then sell them through the Toronto community, through the marketplace and all the sites we're involved in. So from these 6 Holden items that we've manufactured, whether it be sold through Rare Spares or we've had to sell them ourselves, we made enough money after the development costs and the initial manufacturing costs to have enough profit to purchase the VT HSV Club Sport. And through the purchase of that car, we've then evolved into manufacturing HSV parts and or getting supply of HSV parts, which are quite hard to get. So that's how we ended up with the VT HSV Club Sport distribution rights. So these lights here are ex-Europe. They are the correct HSV fog lights as fitted to the HSV range in 98, 99, 2000. These lights here are a pretty cool story. We got onto the actual distributor from Europe through a company called ZKW, who was the original manufacturer for these lights. And through the dealings that we've had together for the years, he offered us about 3.5, 4 years ago, he offered us the rights to be the sole distributor for these lights in Australia and New Zealand. So these lights, we put an order in Germany, they come out to us. We then check them for damage, repackage them and send them all around Australia, and we've sent a few sets over to New Zealand. What's cool about that, we actually have the rights of repair as well, so we can actually repair the lenses inside when they fall out of the stainless steel clips. But the reality is, we've been able to get resourcing out of Europe where it wasn't previously available, and so far we've been able to sell, I think it's 200 pairs of lights. There's 200 cars in Australia that have had the correct fog lights now fitted to them, where before it was probably going to be a little bit more difficult before we came along. So those lights there, really cool story. They are the original ones which were fitted by HSV to the cars. They have the correct looms, and if you want to test how good the distribution situation is with my supplier, I had a guy try to purchase these from me in Australia, didn't like the cost, went to Europe, got put onto my supplier. He provided my email address and contact details. It came full circle, and I had to explain to him that when I said we were the distributors for Australia and New Zealand, and we meant that, then we were. Suffice to say, he ate some humble pie and had to buy a pair from us anyway. So then we're going to move on to the next part of the puzzle. We got these HSV shift patterns manufactured. As you can see there, we've got the 5 speeds at the top. We've got a silver 6-speed in the middle. We've got 2 gold 6 speeds at the bottom. So ours was cactus in our car. We bought some aftermarket shift patterns from eBay. The epoxy on those delaminated quite quickly. Actually, we got 2 delivered to us which already had the epoxy destroyed. Got in contact with the guy. He didn't reply. So we went, you know what, if you're not going to reply, we'll make them ourselves. Not only do we make them ourselves, we actually quality checked them. Series 1s came out slightly different to these ones, so we manufactured 2 sets. These ones here, I'm not sure if you can see, but the actual HSV line, the base of the HSV line, the base of the helmet actually touches the inner circle. So that's the way they should be. We actually used 2 original samples to manufacture them. If I just turn them over, they actually got 3M on the back as well. So if you have a look there, they're actually curved correctly and they have the 3M decals on them. These decals are now being sold and fitted to gear knobs by CDA Motor Trimming. So Cam came on board. We actually can't sell these individually at all. The only way you can get these from us is if you purchase one of these to our left, which is the VTVX HSV gear knobs, which come with a boot. So this is a couple of customers I've got waiting to collect theirs. We've got a VT on the right and a VX on the left, and they're manufactured with the correct pewter and anthracite leather. And as you can see underneath, absolutely stunning. So we moved into getting the gear knobs done and also the steering wheels. And then most recently, we had a good follower of the page, a person by the name of Chris Simpson, give us a hard time about getting some Club Sport decals done for his car so that it would be ready for Summer Nat. So we got in contact with the same guys that did the shift patterns for us. And then we ended up getting in contact with another company, and they put us onto these guys that were able to manufacture. So these ones here, they're the VT Club Sport decal kits. I'll get a little bit closer. I'm not sure if you can see, but you can see the edges are pressed, right? So that pressed edge is exactly the way they were out of the factory. So these decal sets aren't available at all. They haven't been on eBay, not even, poor example, second-hand ones or even reproductions. They haven't been available on eBay. So if we didn't come to the fore and start producing these, then Chris would have had to have taken his car to Summernats with either no decals on there, or he would have had to have resorted to some modified VX versions. So that's where we moved into the two top sets, and these are the last sets we had manufactured. So we've got the Series 1 VX decal kits at the top, and they're in a satin pressed edge, and then we've got the Series 2 in the chrome pressed edge. So they're the last HSV items that we've had manufactured. They are aftermarket, so they're definitely not HSV parts, but they've been manufactured in the same philosophy as the HSV parts. We wanted accuracy. We wanted people to be able to put their cars back to original once they had them resprayed. And if we didn't manufacture these parts, then that wouldn't be a possibility for owners to get their cars back to original. So there you have it, guys. We've obviously put some more money in the bank from selling the decal sets here, but it's a bit of a hard chore because you have to put that money back into redevelopment. So we've got a couple more Holden parts coming along. We're probably not going to be revisiting the decal sets at all at the moment. Logistically, it's actually quite hard to get them all done and packaged and sent out to people, and the quality control can actually be difficult as well. So one thing we will add is that with the decal kits, and particularly with the globe center caps over there, they're quite a rare item to get. So we're keeping it that way, and we are only going to be manufacturing maximum numbers of decal sets and maximum numbers of the World Globe center caps to keep these items rare. Yes, you can still buy them and still restore your cars with the parts we've got, but once they're sold out, that will be the end of them. So yes, guys, that's a quick run through some of the stuff we do here at Heritage Recreations. One of the reasons we came up with Heritage Recreations name is because obviously we're dealing with heritage cars and we're recreating parts for them, so that's how we came across the Heritage Recreations name. And you know what, we're pretty proud. There's hundreds of cars in Australia now driving around with parts supplied by us. So through buying cars and flipping cars and getting cars that were of value, we've been able to get the GTS for free, and then manufacturing parts and being able to become part of the Rare Spares family, we were able to get enough money to buy the Orion Silver VT Club Sport. So that's a quick wrap up, guys, on how our hobby has managed to get us 2 HSVs for free. You might not be able to manufacture parts similar to us, but what you can do is you can find those quality cars. You can definitely give them some love and probably sell them for a profit. Keep doing that until you get the car you absolutely love. And if you need any help with any parts, feel free to drop us a comment or send us a line. We've got Heritage Recreations on Facebook as well, so you can contact us there. But in the meantime, guys, we've got some pretty cool stuff coming up. The GTR is being restored this year, and the VR Club Sport is having the floors and engine bays done as we speak. So we're expecting that to be running and probably painted by August is what we're hopeful of. So plenty to come from Heritage Recreations this year. Stay tuned for more content, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, well, if you told me you were drowning, I would not